few years ago, my wife and I were celebrating our 25th anniversary. And I had a couple speaking events set up that week, but decided to have her come along with me and make an anniversary trip out of it. I was speaking like on a Monday in Vail, Colorado area, and then was speaking on Thursday in St. George, Utah, southern Utah. Both of these areas of the country are beautiful. My wife had never been to Colorado, never been to Utah. I say, hey, let's combine it and make an anniversary trip out of it. And so we spent a few awesome days at the Ritz-Carlton, Beaver Creek, beautiful, beautiful resort in Colorado. But then my wife really wanted to go on a hike. Now I gotta tell you, not a big hiker, I'm not in the best of shape, and hiking kind of can be difficult. But you know what? This is our anniversary. I want to make my wife happy. That's what I'm all about. Let's go on a hike. So we do a little looking online. Where's the best hiking trail in all of Colorado? And all the recommendations come up that you got to go to Booth Lake Trail. It's right outside of Vail. It's the #1 ranked hike that you can do anywhere in Colorado, which is one of the #1 places for hiking in the whole country. Let's go. But I'm like, well, how difficult is it? And so I look on like alltrails.com and they said difficulty moderate. And I'm like, And then I look on another website and it says difficulty strenuous. Like, But I'm like, moderate, I can handle moderate. What I've come to learn is that this is a backpacking and hiking website, and what they consider to be moderately difficult. It's a little different than what I would consider to be moderate. But we're getting ready to go, and the valet at the hotel told them we were going away. We're going to go hiking at Booth Lake. This was in June. And so it was sunny and beautiful. It was like 85 degrees, beautiful little breeze, and beautiful day for a hike. And the guy goes, oh, Booth Lake Trail, that's the best. They go, now, you might not be able to go all the way up to the lake on the, when you hike the trail. I said, well, why not? He said, well, because of the snow. And I said, the snow? This is June. There's no snow up there. And he goes, oh, yeah, there's snow up at that elevation. I'm like, I don't know. He's pulling our leg, right? You're pulling the leg of the Ohio people. So off we go, and we find the trailhead, and we start hiking. And what I discover real quick is that I am out of breath, right? Because this is pretty high up. A lot of you guys have heard of Denver, Colorado. It's called the Mile High City because it's 5,280 feet above sea level. Well, Vail is like 8,000 feet above sea level, and I think this trail starts at like 8,400. So you're basically a mile and a half higher above sea level than what I'm used to. And so it's just hard to get your breath, and we're hiking, and this trail, round trip on this trail is like 8.7 miles, and that's not the longest hike ever, but that's pretty far for someone who's out of shape. The net elevation gain is like 3,000 feet. It goes all the way up to I think like 11,400 feet above, so over 2 miles above sea level. And so off we go, and we're hiking, and I am huffing and puffing, and we get probably a third of the way up, and I'm like, I'm not going to make it. I'm honestly not going to make it. I keep having to sit down and rest. I'm sitting on a log. We walk for a little bit more. Now we're about 2/3 of the way up to where we're going. And I am complaining, I am upset, I am filled with regret and bitterness and shame that I'm not in better shape and that I'm overweight. And what are we doing here? This is a bad decision. This is the worst hike of my life. This is one of the worst decisions I ever made. What are we doing? And we still have to get back. And I was very, very focused on all of the negative things happening. And so we sat down like on a log, and my wife was breathing hard a little bit, but she's in better shape than I am, that's for sure. And she weighs a lot less. She's hauling a lot less weight around. And but so finally I just sat down and just, right, and started thinking about the advice I give people all the time, that your attitude is a choice, right? How you look at things makes all the difference. And just take a breath and just look around, and why not be a little thankful, right? The place that you're at, it's one of the most beautiful places on earth. Not everybody's gonna have an opportunity to come to a place like this in their life. And I started looking around at these beautiful forest of aspen trees with the light filtering down through the trees, and leaves slowly falling. And I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. And over here you got a babbling brook that's going through, and instead of focused on, oh, I might slip on these rocks and kill myself, I'm like, this is beautiful. And look at the mountains and the clouds and the sky and the birds, and oh my God, there's an eagle. And I chose to focus on the beauty and majesty of this place and to be thankful. And you know what? I can't explain this scientifically. I think it's psychosomatic. It's in your head. But the backpack got lighter. The steps were a little bit easier. I was focused on how amazing this was and what a cool opportunity it was instead of the downside of it. And I'm like, this is pretty awesome. I kind of got my second wind. And we started laughing and having fun. I think my wife was glad that I wasn't complaining no more. And sure enough, we got up to a point where there's this beautiful waterfall, and we're getting close to the lake, and all of a sudden, there's snow. It still was warm, but there was snow. And I guess just at that altitude, the snow doesn't melt. And so I actually got a funny clip of my wife walking through the snow on this June day on this trail. Check it out. We ended up stopping at this waterfall, and we were like sitting on the edge and looking over, and it was hundreds of feet down and roaring water going by. And my wife did a little be brave challenge just to kind of step out, on the edge of that and look around, and got a bunch of pictures and video. And then we were walking back, and obviously it's a lot easier walking downhill than it was going uphill. And we got to the end, and I was like, you know what? That was amazing. That was the best hike of my life. So in the matter of just a couple hours, it went from being the worst hike of my life to the best hike of my life, to being this miserable experience with deep regrets and shame and bitterness, to just a spirit of thankfulness and gratitude and accomplishment. And I'm so glad that we did this. And it all is that flip of your switch. It's an attitude. It's what you decide to focus on. Well, I'm hoping you see some relevance in what's going on in the world today, right? Was 2020 the worst year? I hear people talking about, oh, it was a dumpster fire. It was a nightmare. And yeah, 2020 had some very challenging elements to it, right? The business that I'm in, which is doing speaking events to coliseums and functions full of 800, 1,000, 2,000 people, guess what? Those all got canceled. My income, we struggled in a lot of ways in 2020, but you know what? In some other ways, it was an amazing year. Came up with new ideas and new opportunities. We made new connections. I'm using Zoom technology now to connect with people all around the world, and I'm mentoring more people than I ever have. And connecting with people that now I don't necessarily have to, drive 5 hours to go have a conversation with people. We're utilizing technology. There's so many good things that happen in 2020, along with a lot of the bad things. And guess what? 2021 is going to be exactly the same. It's going to be what you choose to make out of it. And so that's my advice. Look at the positive, right? It's not that hard to do, but it's a choice. And it's counterintuitive. And it happens purposely. Nobody ever looks on the positive by accident. It's something you're going to decide to do. But I'm convinced it's part of having an epic life is to be optimistic, to be a good finder, to look for the good in every person and every situation. I think if you do that, you're going to have a lot of amazing experiences in 2021 and beyond.